Welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast. I'm so glad you could join us today.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We've got an exciting topic to dive into.
Absolutely. Today we're talking about virtual wholesaling. You know, that innovative way to find deals without being physically present.
Right, and it's becoming more popular, especially for those of us juggling busy lives or living in areas where the market is tight.
Exactly. We'll be covering what virtual wholesaling is, how to get started, and some practical tips that can help you succeed, even if you're new to real estate.
And we'll also touch on some common pitfalls to avoid, just to keep you on the right track.
I love that. It's so important to, learn from others' experiences, right?
For sure. So whether you're looking to dip your toes into real estate or you're a seasoned investor wanting to explore new strategies, this episode's got something for everyone.
Okay, let's get right into it.
Yeah. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is virtual wholesaling? So, Sarah, when we think about virtual wholesaling and why it's really relevant for folks over 40 right now, it's all about timing and the landscape we're in.
Absolutely. I mean, with retirement timelines getting tighter, it's crucial for people to explore options that can help them build wealth quickly, right?
Exactly. And a lot of people might not realize that virtual wholesaling allows them to tap into markets they might not physically be able to visit. They can find deals in areas that are booming, even if they're sitting at home.
Right. Like, say someone who's looking to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. If they can find a way to generate income from properties in a different market, that could really boost their retirement savings.
Yeah, and let's not forget about inflation. It's been a hot topic lately, and real estate is often seen as a hedge against it. Investing in property, even through wholesaling, can help lock in value and protect against rising costs.
Exactly. I remember talking to an investor who was in their early 50s. They got into virtual wholesaling and found deals in markets that were appreciating rapidly. They told me it was a game changer for their financial security.
That's a great example. By leveraging technology, they could analyze deals and connect with buyers without ever having to leave their home. It's about working smarter, not harder, especially as we age.
And, another thing that comes to mind is the emotional side of financial security. For many, it's not just about the numbers. It's about peace of mind, knowing they have something to pass on to their family.
Absolutely. I've seen investors really light up when they talk about how their real estate investments will help their children or grandchildren. It gives them a sense of purpose beyond just accumulating wealth.
Right. And with the current economic trends where job markets can be unpredictable, having multiple streams of income becomes even more important. Virtual wholesaling can create that additional stream without the need for a huge capital outlay.
Yes, and it's less risky in a sense. You're not tied down to one physical location or market. You can pivot based on where the opportunities are, and that's a major advantage.
I think a lot of people over 40 are realizing they need to be proactive about their financial futures. Sitting back and waiting for things to happen can be a dangerous strategy.
Definitely. And, I've heard stories where investors have turned to virtual wholesaling after a job loss or unexpected life change. It's a way to regain control of their financial situation.
That's so true. It's like a fresh start when you need it the most. And you could be sitting in your living room finding deals in a completely different state.
Right. And imagine the flexibility. You can work on your own schedule, which is perfect for those who might have other commitments, like family or even part-time jobs.
And it's also about adapting to the market shifts. For instance, if one area cools down, you can easily explore another market that might be heating up. It's all about being nimble.
Exactly. And one of the best parts is you don't need to have a ton of experience to jump in. Many resources are available online and communities that offer support.
Oh, for sure. I've seen people come together in online forums and social media groups sharing tips and success stories. It's really encouraging to see that kind of collaboration.
And, it's also about leveraging relationships. Even from afar, you can build a network of local contacts to help facilitate deals. That's something that can be nurtured over time.
Right. And that connection can lead to partnerships that might not have happened otherwise. It opens up a lot of doors.
And speaking of doors, the whole process of virtual wholesaling can lead to those bigger opportunities, like flipping properties or even holding onto them for rental income down the line.
That's a great point. It's not just about wholesaling. It can be a stepping stone to more serious investments that can provide long-term cash flow.
Exactly. And let's not overlook the potential for wealth transfer. With the real estate market being a solid investment vehicle, it can provide a legacy for families.
Right, and I think that's something that really resonates with people over 40. They want to leave something meaningful behind, not just for their kids, but even for their grandkids.
Yes, and these investments can create opportunities for future generations. It's about building that foundation of financial education and stability.
And, the beauty of virtual wholesaling is that it allows you to start small, learn the ropes, and gradually build your portfolio. It's a manageable way to get into the game.
Absolutely. A lot of people think they have to dive in head first, but starting with one or two deals can really build your confidence and understanding of the market.
And then, as you gain experience, you can take on bigger projects or diversify into other areas. It's all about finding that balance.
Right. And as we prepare to dive into some core strategies on how to get started with virtual wholesaling, I want the listeners to remember that it's about taking that first step.
Yes, just like any journey, it starts with a decision to move forward. And I think that's what we'll explore next. How to effectively get into virtual wholesaling and make it work for you.
So let's dive into the core strategies for virtual wholesaling. One of the first things to keep in mind is the importance of market research. You really want to understand the areas you're investing in. You can't just jump in blindly.
Absolutely. What kind of market indicators should someone look for?
Good question. You want to look at factors like population growth, job opportunities, and, of course, property values. A solid rule of thumb is the 1% rule. That means the monthly rent should be at least 1% of the property purchase price. So if you're buying a house for $200,000, you should aim for $2,000 in rent.
Right. That makes sense. And how does that tie into wholesaling?
Well, in wholesaling, you're often looking for properties that are undervalued or distressed. So you want to find a market where you can buy low and sell high, right? That's where the research on property types comes in.
Can you give an example of a property type that might be ideal for wholesaling?
Sure. Single-family homes are usually a good bet, especially in suburbs where you have families looking to settle down. They tend to have a wider appeal. But you might also want to explore multifamily properties, especially if you're in an area with strong rental demand.
Got it. And what about the financing aspect? How should someone approach that in a virtual wholesaling scenario?
So, financing can be a bit tricky in wholesaling, since you generally don't hold the property long term. But one common method is using a hard money lender. They can finance the purchase quickly, though the interest rates can be higher. You need to factor that into your numbers.
That sounds risky. Are there other options?
Yeah, absolutely. You could also consider using private money lenders, sometimes friends or family who are willing to invest, or even seller financing, where the seller allows you to pay them over time. It really depends on your situation and the deal at hand.
So you've got your financing sorted, and you've found a property. What's next?
Right, now you need to evaluate the deal. A good checklist is essential here. You should consider the purchase price, estimated repair costs, and the after-repair value, or ARV. A simple formula is to take your ARV multiplied by 0.7 and then subtract your repair costs. This gives you your maximum allowable offer, or MAO.
Okay, let me break that down. So if the ARV is $300,000 and the repairs are $50,000, how does that work?
Exactly. So you take $300,000, multiply by 0.7, which is $210,000. Then subtract the $50,000 for repairs. That gives you a MAO of $160,000.
That's really practical. So if you can get the property under contract for less than $160,000, you'd be in a good position?
Correct. And it's also important to factor in your assignment fee if you're wholesaling it to another investor. You want to make sure you're still in the green after that.
Makes sense. And what about marketing the deal to find your buyer?
Marketing is key. You can use social media, real estate investor groups, or even email lists. Building relationships with local investors is crucial too. Sometimes it's about who you know as much as what you know.
That's so true. And networking is often overlooked, but it can really make a difference.
Yeah, it can. Also, consider hosting virtual tours of the property, especially if you're dealing with remote buyers. With technology today, it's easier than ever to showcase a property without being there in person.
Right, and with all that done, you've got a deal lined up. What's the exit strategy?
Typically, in wholesaling, your exit strategy is to assign the contract to a buyer for a fee. You want to ensure your buyer knows the numbers work for them as well. A smooth transaction builds your reputation and can lead to more deals in the future.
Speaking of reputation, how important is it to build trust with sellers and buyers?
It's everything. You need to be transparent about what you're doing. If a seller senses you're just trying to make a quick buck, it can hurt your chances of closing the deal.
Right, a good relationship can lead to referrals too.
Exactly. Now, with all this in mind, it's easy to get excited and jump in, but there are common pitfalls you should avoid.
Oh, definitely. What are some of those pitfalls to watch out for?
Well, one major pitfall is underestimating repair costs. Always, and I mean always, get multiple quotes for repairs. It's so easy to think it'll be cheaper than it actually is.
That's a huge one. What else?
Another one is not having a solid exit strategy. If you don't have buyers lined up or a clear plan, you could find yourself in a tough spot. And, of course, overpaying for a property is a classic mistake.
Yeah, and that can derail your entire investment plan.
Right. And lastly, not doing enough due diligence. Knowing the ins and outs of the property and the market can save you from costly mistakes.
All really solid points. It's important to stay grounded and informed.
So, Sarah, one of the biggest pitfalls I see with virtual wholesaling is over-leveraging. You know, investors get really excited, they find a good deal, and they think, let's go all in. But then they end up stretching themselves too thin financially.
Oh, totally. That can really backfire, can it? I mean, if you're not careful, it can lead to serious cash flow issues.
Exactly. I had a client once who bought a property that looked great on paper, but when it came time to renovate, he realized he didn't have enough reserves to cover the unexpected expenses. It became a real mess, and he found himself in a tight spot financially.
That's tough. So what can someone do to avoid getting into that situation?
Well, first off, it's crucial to have a solid budget and stick to it. A good rule of thumb is to always factor in a buffer for unexpected costs, like repairs or market shifts. Also, never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Right, and I think it's also about understanding your limits. If you're new to this, maybe start smaller and build up from there, rather than going all out right away.
Absolutely. And then there's the issue of bad tenants. I mean, when you're wholesaling virtually, you might not have an eye on the property or the tenant screening process as closely as you'd like.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories. What's one that sticks out for you?
Well, I had another investor who thought he could just handle everything remotely. He didn't do thorough background checks, and he ended up with a tenant who, let's just say, wasn't exactly ideal. Late payments, property damage. It became a nightmare.
Wow, that's a hard lesson to learn. So what should people do to screen tenants properly when they're not local?
Great question. First, you want to partner with a trustworthy property management company that understands the local market. They can help you vet potential tenants and handle the day-to-day issues. Also, use technology like virtual tours and online applications to streamline the process.
That makes sense. It's like you're not completely out of the loop, right?
Exactly. And then we can't forget about cash flow. Many investors focus too much on potential appreciation and forget to keep an eye on the cash flow.
Right, because if you're not cash flow positive, it doesn't matter how much the property is worth in the long run.
Exactly. I had one investor who bought a property in a hot market thinking it would skyrocket, but they didn't calculate their monthly expenses correctly. And when the market cooled down, they were left with a property they couldn't afford to keep.
That's such a common mistake. So what are some indicators that can help investors keep an eye on cash flow?
Good question. Start by calculating the gross rental income and subtracting all your expenses: mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance. If you're not coming out ahead, you need to reassess your investment.
And it's important to remember that not every property will appreciate the way you hope, right?
Exactly. Timing the market can be another pitfall. Investors often think they can predict the right moment to buy or sell, but the reality is, it's really tough to time the market perfectly.
Yeah, it seems like a gamble.
It really is. I had a friend who waited to buy a property because he thought prices would drop further. Instead, they just kept rising, and he missed out on a good opportunity.
So what's the takeaway there?
The best strategy is to focus on the fundamentals. Look for properties that make sense financially, regardless of market conditions. Don't chase trends, just stick to your criteria.
That's great advice. And what about hidden costs? I feel like that's a big one people overlook.
Absolutely. Many new investors forget about things like closing costs, property management fees, and maintenance. There can be a lot of unexpected expenses that pop up, especially in older properties.
Definitely. I remember hearing about an investor who bought a property thinking it was move-in ready, only to discover it needed a new roof right after closing.
Ouch, that's painful. It's so important to do thorough due diligence. Get a good inspection and be aware of what repairs might be necessary down the line.
And if you don't know what to look for, it's worth hiring a professional to help.
Exactly. And being proactive about these things can save you a lot of headaches down the road.
So if someone finds themselves in one of these sticky situations, how can they recover?
Well, first, don't panic. It's about assessing the situation and making a plan. If cash flow is tight, consider adjusting rents or negotiating with your lender for a better deal.
That's smart. I think communication is key, right?
Absolutely. Keeping an open line with your tenants and lenders can make a world of difference. Also, consider seeking professional advice. A good real estate advisor can help you navigate tough spots.
And it's all about learning from these experiences, right?
Exactly. Every mistake is a lesson. The key is to stay informed, be strategic, and don't shy away from asking for help when you need it.
Such valuable insights, Mike. I think our listeners will really appreciate these practical tips on avoiding common pitfalls in virtual wholesaling.
I hope so. It's all about building that long-term wealth and making informed decisions.
And speaking of informed decisions, what's the next step for someone looking to dive deeper into this?
Well, I'd suggest they start by assessing their financial goals and educating themselves on the local market. Understanding the landscape will help them make more informed investments.
And maybe even connecting with a mentor or joining a community can provide that support and guidance too.
Absolutely. Building a network is crucial. It can open doors to resources and advice that can really help in this journey.
That's such a great point.
And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Stay patient, stay focused, and keep learning.
Perfect way to wrap this up.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about the possibilities ahead.
Absolutely. And I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired to take those next steps.
I hope so. All right, let's dive into some immediate steps you can take right now to get started with virtual wholesaling.
Yeah, I think that's super important. What's the first thing they can do, Mike?
Well, the first step is to start familiarizing yourself with the market. You can use tools like Zillow or Realtor.com to get a sense of property values in the areas you're interested in. Just start browsing, get comfortable with the listings.
Right, and I imagine looking at different types of properties can really help too, right?
Exactly. And while you're on those sites, take notes on properties that seem undervalued or have been sitting on the market for a while. That could signal a motivated seller.
Good point. So what's next after that?
After that, I'd recommend checking out some local MLS access if you can. Many areas allow public access to MLS platforms. It's a treasure trove of information. You can see historical data and get a deeper understanding of the market trends.
That sounds really useful. And what about analyzing deals?
For analyzing deals, I can't stress enough how helpful tools like the BiggerPockets calculator or deal check can be. They help you quickly evaluate potential returns, cash flow, and even understand your profit margins.
Nice. So it sounds like they can get pretty detailed with their analysis.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be a pro to start. Just take it one step at a time. Maybe commit to analyzing one deal per week.
That's a manageable goal. It keeps it from feeling overwhelming.
Right, and you can also join local meetups or online forums related to real estate investing. There's a wealth of knowledge out there, and you'll find people who are willing to share their experiences.
Networking is so powerful. I mean, you never know who you might meet or what insight they could offer.
Exactly. And while you're at it, consider reading some good books on real estate investing. Titles like the book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner or Real Estate Investing for Dummies can provide a solid foundation.
I love that. Are there any podcasts you'd recommend too?
Definitely. The Bigger Pockets podcast is a great one. They share real stories from investors and give practical advice. You can learn a lot just by listening to others' experiences.
Sounds like a great way to stay motivated as well. What else can listeners do to keep moving forward?
Well, they can start building a list of potential buyers or investors in their network. It's never too early to start. Even if you don't have a deal yet, having that list ready will pay off when you do find a property.
That's smart. And what about setting up systems for follow-ups?
Yes, use a simple CRM tool. Something like HubSpot or even a spreadsheet can help you keep track of your leads and when to follow up. It's all about staying organized.
Right. Organization can really make a difference, especially as you scale things up.
Exactly. And don't forget to leverage social media. Platforms like Facebook or LinkedIn have groups dedicated to real estate investing, where you can ask questions, learn, and connect with others.
I love that idea. It can feel so supportive to connect with like-minded people.
For sure. And as you're getting more comfortable, start to research your local market even deeper. Maybe even explore specific neighborhoods you're interested in.
That way, you can spot trends before they become obvious to everyone else, right?
Exactly. And remember, starting small is key. You don't have to have it all figured out right away. Just take those first steps and keep moving forward.
Such a good reminder, Mike. It's all about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And as you dive deeper, consider creating a simple business plan. It doesn't have to be lengthy. Just outline your goals, target markets, and a rough strategy.
That sounds like a solid way to stay focused and motivated.
Yeah, and you can revisit and refine that plan as you learn and grow.
So, with all these tools and strategies, listeners can really carve out their path in virtual wholesaling.
Absolutely, and I encourage everyone to just get started, even if it's just a little bit each day.
That's the spirit. So those are some practical first steps. Now let's bring this all together.
All right, so let's wrap up what we've talked about today. I think it's clear that virtual wholesaling can be a game changer for those looking to get into real estate without being tied down to one location.
Absolutely, Mike. One major takeaway is that you don't need to be physically present to find great deals. Technology really opens up the world for you, doesn't it?
Right? And another point is the importance of building a solid network. Even if you're working remotely, connecting with local professionals can really elevate your success.
Yes. And let's not forget about the power of research. Knowing your market and understanding the numbers is crucial, especially when you're not visiting properties in person.
Definitely. And lastly, I think we highlighted the value of consistency. Making a habit of putting in the work day after day, even if it's just a couple of hours, can lead to big rewards over time.
Such great insights. And it's so motivating to think about how real estate can really help build long-term wealth. It's not just about the money, but the freedom and security it can bring.
Exactly, Sarah. Investing in real estate is a journey, and it's one that can lead to a brighter future.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment below with your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have. And share this with someone over 40 who's looking to get into property investing.
Yes, please. And next time, we're diving into Facebook Marketplace for motivated sellers. It's going to be an exciting discussion.
Can't wait for that. Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Take care, and see you next time.
Bye for now.